Hello there guys, this is Alex here, bringing you part 3 of What If Deku Was Recovery Girl's grandson. Where we last left off, Izuku stepped into an alleyway and saw a girl look at an injured cat. As the girl said, "Are you here for the show?" Izuku was taken aback from such a response to such a dire situation. As he quickly halts and puts his backpack down and comes to the aid of the animal bleeding out. He checks where the wounds are and takes notice of a large wound by its leg, as he observes that it must have been a bite of a larger animal, and quickly extends his hands and confines the animal in a transparent field, as he gets a Swiss Army knife out of his pocket and cuts the animal's leg, and the animal not even flinching in pain, and would start to clean a bit of the wound. He grabs some alcohol and cloth out of his backpack, and he would reattach its leg, and the cat would start to get up from the floor. The girl saw the whole process and was visibly intrigued on how Izuku was able to manage to do something like that without even being disgusted or freaking out. Izuku would grab the cat from the floor as the cat is purring, as Izuku would try to give the girl the cat. As the girl would say, while trying to grab the cat from Izuku's hands, "Oh, the cat isn't mine. I actually stumbled across it while I lost a couple of coins." Yeah, coins. Izuku looks at her confused as he would ask, "I see, but you looked at the cat with concern. I guess you wanted to do something about it, but you couldn't do anything with what you got." I'm sure that as Izuku would get caught off by the girl, as she would say, "To be honest, I would have just seen it die regardless. I wanted to see its last moments and how fulfilling the pleasure of dying would be." Izuku is visibly concerned as he would say, Well, I can say it's something at one point we all think about, but I'm guessing your parents wouldn't want to see their child like that." As the girl gets visibly upset, as she would say, "They really wouldn't care. They wouldn't care if something were to happen to me. On the contrary, they would just be happy if they just could get rid of me." The girl would start to pet the cat. Izuku would say, and would be taken aback by what the girl said, as he would say, "I'm sorry if I said anything out of place. I really didn't know things with your parents were rough. How rude of me to assume." As the girl would start changing the mood of the conversation, as she would say, "Anyhow, the way you saved the critter, it was quite something. I didn't know you can do something like that without that cat flinching in pain. So, is it your quirk or something?" Izuku's quite concerned with the change of mood in the conversation, but plays along. As Izuku would say, "Yeah, it's my quirk. It's called disassemble and reassemble. It lets me make an invisible barrier and cover an area where I can cut things through without following the rules of physics in that area, and also lets me put them back together if nothing ever happened. And with this power, I'll make sure that I can become a great hero." As the girl would say, "Whoa, that's a pretty powerful quirk, and I guess with that strong quirk as yours, you really would be able to become a great pro with ease. But the way you used it, it seemed to be more like a surgeon." Izuku would say, "I know, I actually wanted to study to become a doctor, but it happens that my mom thought I would become a great hero, even number one. I think she has high expectations of me, but if I can make sure that there's a way that I can make her proud." As Izuku in his mind, "And see her back to normal. Then I'll do whatever it takes." As Izuku would start to clench his fist. But enough about me. How about you? Oh, I almost forgot to introduce myself. My name is Izuku Bakugo. Izuku Bakugo. Just call me Izuku. And what about you?" As the girl would say, "My name is Himiko Toga. But if you want, you can call me Himiko. And if I can tell you anything about me, is that I do have a quirk, but I'd rather not show it to you. I feel like it's because of it. People can get the wrong impression of me." As Izuku would say, "Nonsense. I should be the one saying that, but if you don't want to tell me, it's okay. I understand." Izuku would start to grab his backpack from the ground and get up as he would extend his hands towards Himiko. As Himiko would feel a certain warmth in her heart at the thought of a boy really being worried of her, as she grabs Izuku's hand and be pulled up from the floor, she would tell Izuku, Well, you did show me your quirks, so I guess it would be fair for me to show you mine. But promise that you won't freak out for what I'm about to ask. Himiko would ask for a sample of Izuku's blood, and Izuku would be curious on what she can do with his blood, and grab his Swiss Army knife and puncture the tip of his finger. As he would extend his finger towards Himiko, she would just start to suck on Izuku's finger. Izuku would look onward in confusion and in embarrassment as Himiko turns into himself. As Izuku would say, "Whoa, so you can call people's looks? That's pretty cool." As Himiko would say, "You really think so? People keep telling me it's a weird and freaky quirk, so I really show it." As Izuku would say, "I think it might not be the best for fighting people, but hey, you can get in places not even the pros would be able to go. I think even you can become a pro, possibly a hero just like the pro hero of Lat King." As Himiko would say, "Oh yeah, you're right. Maybe I'll consider it. And also, I don't think this kitty has its owner. She looks a bit scruffy to be out here." As Izuku would say, "Yeah, I wouldn't mind taking it, but I already have a dog, and dogs don't get along with cats. But I'm sure you can keep it. Looks like it's quite happy with you." As Izuku would grab his backpack and pull out his phone, he would see about 10 messages unread, 3 missed phone calls, and he sees it's Katsuki, as he had forgotten to meet him at the arcade after school. Izuku would say, "Oh man, he's gonna be such a pain in the ass if I don't go. Well, Himiko, it's been quite something, but I do hope that things get better for you. I truly believe that you can become a hero." At that moment, Himiko's heart was going wild and her mind was flooded with many thoughts, until she spoke up, as Himiko would say, "Hey, do you think we can meet up here tomorrow at this time? Or no, I mean..." As Izuku would be smiling at her, as he would say, "Sure, and give me a moment." Izuku gets a piece of paper and he writes something on it. As he would give it to Himiko, "Take this, it's my phone number, so in case something happens or you just want someone to talk with, just give me a call and I'll be there for you." And here are those words coming from Izuku's mouth just made her melt inside and made her stutter as they waved goodbye. From Toga's perspective, Himiko rushed home as quickly as possible. Once she arrived, she saw her mother in the kitchen, as Himiko would say, with the red face, stuttering, and overall freaking out, as she would say to her mom, "Mom, I need your help." So, from Izuku's perspective, Izuku would run towards the shopping district where Katsuki would be while he is still pondering on that behavior of the girl he just met and thinking to himself, as Izuku in his head, have never really focused on the aspect of how people with such quirks can be chastised by society as a whole for having such abilities that usually don't look heroic enough. Maybe at one point, I guess, people I've met might have thought of me that way, but if it weren't for the family I was born in, well, most likely I could have turned out so much worse. I want to see if I can change that mindset. While Izuku had these thoughts running through his head, he accidentally bumps into someone, as Izuku looks to see who it is, and he sees it's Katsuki. As Katsuki would say, "Lesson done again, nerd? Well, in any case, better stay there. We can't go any further. Seems there's a villain attack by the shopping districts. The pros aren't letting any civilians pass by." Izuku would say, "Oh, well, that's a shame. You do realize that I went ahead of you because I wanted to walk Fido for a bit." As Katsuki would say, "You think I care? You're always with that dog of yours, and now it's time for you to socialize a bit. But now, there's nothing that we can do about that." Izuku would look at a stalemate that the pros have to deal with, as a sludge villain is using a kid around his age as a hostage. He sees that the pros can't do anything, and the guy stuck inside the sludge villain trying to get out, extending his hand for help and yelling for anyone to help him. Izuku, without thinking, would start to shove the crowd to move out of his way. As he dashes towards the sludge villain, some of the pros tell Izuku to get back and stay out of the way. Izuku extends his hand and confines the area with a transparent field as he throws his backpack towards the villain. The sludge villain would look at this as he laughs maniacally, as the sludge villain would say, "Really, kid? You think that's gonna hurt me?" Izuku, smirking, would grab his knife and cuts the villain where he was holding the kid, and the sludge villain would look confused on what's going on. Izuku swaps places where the backpack was thrown and grabs the kid out of the sludge villain's grasp. But before Izuku could get any further away, his leg would be caught by the sludge as he gets pulled towards the sludge villain. The sludge villain would look visibly irritated that he was played, but now that he has another hostage, he assumes that he has everything in the bag, and using this kid's body wouldn't be such a bad idea either. As his train of thought would be interrupted by an explosion towards his face. Katsuki would immediately try to pull Izuku out of the sludge villain, Izuku grabbing onto Katsuki's hand and then throw a coin out of his hand and swaps places with the object, and would quickly pull Katsuki out of the way of the sludge villain. Izuku would try to confine the sludge villain himself in his quirks area of effect, but before Izuku or Katsuki start a bigger commotion, a massive figure will land his way. There, as he says with a big smile and reassurance, "No need of fear, because I am here!" The civilians and the pros look onward in awe as they start yelling that it's All Might. As All Might quickly gets both Izuku and Katsuki out of the way, as he starts to charge up his fist, as All Might yells out, "Detroit Smash!" The sludge villain would be splattered over the surrounding area, as everyone looks in awe and would start to cheer on All Might. Izuku and Katsuki would get their footing together. Katsuki would smack Izuku on the back of the head and would start to flinch in pain, as Katsuki would say, "The fuck was that, dumbass? Did you really want to get yourself captured, you dipshit?" As Izuku would respond, "Ouch, what's wrong with you? Explosions for brains. Had everything under control, and you got us both trapped there, you asshole. Couldn't you at least let me handle it? Sheesh." The pros would approach the two. They would both get scolded by the pros and would be praised for their quirks. On the other hand, All Might captured the sludge villain in a plastic bottle, handing it over to the police, and would start to get bombarded by the media and the civilians. Izuku and Katsuki would also be thanked by the kid who was being held hostage. The two, after things died down, would start to leave the area and go back home. On their way back home, Izuku and Baku would start to bicker about who displayed the more feats, until they hear a familiar voice as a large figure would come in and yell, "I am here!" Both Izuku and Katsuki looked to see All Might. Katsuki would be keen on asking All Might for his autograph, as Izuku would respond nonchalant to All Might. As Izuku would say, "Yo, All Might, how's it been? And how's Sir Night Eye been doing?" As Katsuki, smacking Izuku's head, "Is this how you talk to the #1 hero? What the heck is your manners?" As Izuku would say, "Same goes for you." Before the two could start arguing, All Might stopped them from doing so, and explained that Night Eye had a little proposal regarding training for the entrance exams for UA. Although Night Eye was kind of busy and didn't have time at the moment to see the two teens in person. Once he had the chance, he would meet them. Thus, the following week, they started their 10 months of training supervised by a random hero, because having All Might there would cause some chaos and they wouldn't get anything done. The next day, Izuku would meet up with Himiko as they planned the day before, near the alleyway, at the same time, but Himiko looked a bit different. Izuku asked, and Himiko tried to explain, partially that is. As Himiko is visibly embarrassed, "You see, the thing is, although me and my parents don't get along, I still ask them stuff like, what is normal? And before I knew it, my mom started to be happy for me and did all that she can do to help me out." As Izuku would start chuckling, "And I'm guessing that's the reason you got a ton of makeup," and as Himiko would look more embarrassed, "Stop it, I know I look like a clown with all this stuff, so I can stop harassing me about it." As Izuku would say, "Well, in any case, for what it's worth, I prefer the same you as yesterday, because anyone can pretend to be okay when they really aren't." Himiko's smile grew, and that embarrassed personality somewhat disappeared as they hanged out. Izuku told Himiko that if she wanted, they could hang out after his training that would start next week at Dagoba Beach. As Himiko would say, "Why not sooner?" As Izuku would say, unfortunately, I got other matters that require my attention, so next week onwards, after training, I'll be free. After that, Izuku accompanied Himiko home. Not at the door, just a few meters away from the gate into her property, and Izuku went home. Once there, he was having an argument with Katsuki, as usual, but a text arriving to Izuku's phone stopped the two while Izuku was reading the message. Katsuki snatched the phone from his hands and took a look, as Katsuki would say, "Hey nerd, you got a girlfriend or something?" As Izuku would start to get a little bit right. "No." As Katsuki would say, "So that's where you went, and I tried calling you too. Wait, hold on, by any chance, what happened to that option? Do not disturb. Did you?" As Izuku made it plainly obvious that he did so. The argument lasted a very long time. So, time skipped to 1 week ahead, when the 10 months of training started. First 3 months in the training regime, Izuku and Bakugo cleaned up the beach in record time, while Himiko was watching when Izuku was training. After training was over for the day, she would join and hang out with Izuku and acting a bit flirtatious towards him. And Katsuki is confused on why she would go for the nerd. Then, seeing what's going on, he was getting a drama vibe from them. The next 2 months was them using their quirks to their limits and beyond. But Toga was getting a bit bolder and she would act lovey-dovey with Izuku. But he didn't react as Toga would have hoped so. While Katsuki was getting annoyed and thinking. As Katsuki would think to himself, "What in the name of hell am I witnessing here?" One day, not long after, Toga would ask Katsuki on why Izuku is playing hearts again, or he doesn't care for her as she thought he did. Katsuki was very annoyed. He told her, "Okay, first off, don't drag me into it. Second, he's got his issues, and it's a bit complicated. If you don't believe me, just hide somewhere instead of making yourself known as usual. Just give me a sec, I'll signal you, and I'll make him talk." As Toga is visibly surprised and would say, "You do that for me?" As Katsuki, slightly annoyed, "If it means you'll stop pestering me about it, then yeah, I will." Some time had passed since then, and it was only Izuku and Katsuki's training on their own. Katsuki would say, "So nerd, where's your girlfriend today?" As Izuku would say, "She's not my girlfriend, and she can do whatever she wants." As Katsuki would say, yeah, lie as many times as you have to. You're trying to convince yourself you're not fooling anybody, so what's on your mind?" As Izuku would say, "Me? What do you mean? Nothing's on my mind. I'm just," as Katsuki would just say, "just admit it already. You like her a lot. You talk to her every night. You talk about her whenever she's not around, but when she's actually here, you don't do shit." Izuku would say, as Katsuki would say, "It doesn't take a genius to figure you out. So tell me why are you avoiding her?" As Izuku didn't answer, and Katsuki was getting impatient, and started to yell at him until he answered, as Izuku visibly pissed off, "Enough already." As Izuku would try to calm down a bit, "The thing is, I'm scared, okay? I'm scared to involve people, to put them in danger, risk their lives for my safety. I don't want that. Especially for Himiko. She already had it rough, and the last thing I want for her is to have a huge target on her back because of me. She deserves better." As Katsuki would say, "So you're saying that if it wasn't for this problem of yours, you would go for her, am I correct?" As Izuku gets visibly flustered, "Yeah, I would." Katsuki would say, "Well, that's good to hear. Because you just heard it, everything just now." As Izuku looks visibly confused, "Wait, what?" At that moment, Himiko showed herself with tears in her eyes, catching Izuku off guard. As Izuku would say, "Katsuki, you son of a bitch, I'll get you for that." As Katsuki would be walking away, as he'd say, yeah, whatever you say, dipshit. I'll leave you two alone so you can get this over with." After Katsuki left, Izuku was about to explain the situation with Himiko, but she shushed him and asked for a sparring session, no quirks allowed. Their sparring session lasted a while, but Izuku ended up on the receiving end of Himiko's punches and kicks, leaving Izuku being up on the sand. Once Izuku admitted defeat, Himiko sat next to Izuku, and she told him to lie down, and he was surprised as she used her laps as a pillow for Izuku. As Izuku would say, "So, you heard everything. And everything from me and Katsuki." As Himiko would say, "Yeah, I did. So, why do you have a huge target on your back?" As Izuku would say, "Well, about that, where do I start?" As Izuku explains the situation. And that is the whole reason why I try to keep my distance. As Himiko would say, "Wow, you're an idiot. It was thanks to you I was able to speak to my mother again. Why would you want to push people away?" As Izuku would say, "I don't have a concrete answer, but I didn't want to involve you with unnecessary danger." As Himiko flicks her finger at Izuku's forehead, "You're weird. We live in a society that are made of superhumans and quirks, and danger might be around any corner. You know that, right?" As Izuku would say, "Yeah, I know. Sorry for being weird." As Himiko would say, "There's no need for you to apologize, because now I have someone to be weird with." As Izuku visibly looked concerned, "What do you mean by that?" As Himiko would start chuckling, "Oh, Izu, you're so innocent." Time skipped to the 9th month of training. Everything would be a repeat with Izuku and Katsuki getting better. Then after training, Himiko and Izuku go to a gym that Night Eye provided for Izuku's request to work on Izuku's stamina, speed, and agility. Although there were some compromising moments, and Izuku and Himiko are an official couple. After Izuku's training with Himiko, the young couple are walking down the streets to accompany her home. As Himiko would say, "Izu, are you going to stay for dinner? Or maybe tomorrow? Mom has been pestering me to bring you over. She won't stop nagging me." As Izuku would say, "Sorry, Himiko, I'll be busy tomorrow. I'm going to Sir Night Eye's agency with Katsuki. He said that there was something important he wanted to talk about, so I'm assuming that it's a clue regarding my mother's case, and not to mention that the exam's only a week away." As Himiko would say, "Oh, then in this case, I want you to come over the day of the exam so we can celebrate." As Izuku would say, "Sure thing." As the couple said their goodbyes. The next day, Katsuki and Izuku went to Night Eye's agency to see what was going on, only to see Night Eye and All Might waiting for them at the main office. As Night Eye would say, "Good, the two of you made it. I have good news and bad news. And to be continued." So, I hope you guys like the video. I'm sorry for leaving that cliffhanger. I'm trying some other stuff. In this case, I'm sorry for so much delays. I've just been talking with Ed about the scripts because I'm sorry if I rush things. It's because I'm a little bit tired right now. I was just playing Genshin. But I was also talking about it in regards to the scripts because I think it was almost around 4,000, 5,000 words. So we actually had to do it in a different part because it was kind of glossing over some events, maybe, or some events or scenarios where I wanted to go a little bit more depth. But in this case, yeah, I do hope you guys like the video. I know, please don't. I swear to God, I'm not going to do anything out of the ordinary. I just want something concrete, in regards to the relationship, not just saying because, I guess I just don't want it to be, he's OP, therefore I like him kind of shit. Nah, don't come with that bullshit, bro. I'm sorry, guys. I just hate that kind of storytelling. At least build up to something, And that's what I wanted to get across around this part 3, since apparently people really do like the ship. So I'm like, how do we integrate it into the story? So that's what me and Ed were trying to incorporate in this in the what if itself, since I guess some of my audience really likes this stuff. So especially with the familiar of Zero, I'm sorry, guys. I just already knew that this was gonna be the way I was gonna try to go. I really didn't have it. I don't have any excuse. I hope you guys like the fan art. I did it myself, so I at least want to give you a little bit of visualization. You know, I'm not gonna do anything more complex because God, my fucking hands would be fucking dead. But yeah, and anyway, I do hope you guys like the video. I'll try to make a playlist for this one. Next up is Full Counter. Yay! Which no one asked for. Fuck you guys. I don't care. I'm gonna fucking upload it. But maybe, what's it called? Maybe tomorrow or maybe Thursday. Don't fucking know. I really want to know. So in this case, I'll just see. I'll just swing it. I'll just try to get everything recorded and yeah. Do apologize if there's barely any editing in this one. I'm just kind of dead. I just recorded at around my time, 11 p.m. at night. I do get off work, so, but it's kind of, I just wanted to cheese it. Sorry guys if it ruins the experience. But yeah, hope you guys liked the video and have a good day or good day or good night.